In studio with me right now, candidate for District 1, Lubbock City Council. I think this is our second visit with Frank Gutierrez. Welcome back.
Thank you, sir. Good morning.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm fine. We just had a candidate forum last night on TV.
Yeah.
And I think folks should look at it, and they're going to be able to determine for themselves who's the best qualified.
What is the, right now in District 1, as you've been going around and knocking on doors and talking with folks, what have they been telling you as far as the top concerns in their mind?
For the city in general, of course, it's the debt. But for District 1, because of the Marshall Shaw Freeway construction and such, there's a lack of housing, affordable housing. And that keeps coming up. And I'm proposing to work on that because I have received the endorsement and support of some groups that are involved in housing, such as the Lubbock Apartment Association, Lubbock Board of Realtors, and the West Texas Home Builders PAC. So with their support in mind, I expect to be for them to lend me an ear at least to hear me out, because it is quite an area that does need some affordable housing.
Well, what can the city council do to push affordable housing?
Well, it's a collective effort, of course. You've got the example of Habitat for Humanity, and that is an ongoing effort, and I expect to wholeheartedly support that effort. And there's also some other measures that can take place. However, we need to do some revamping of the effort, so to speak. I know what I mean by that is the effort currently being made by the North and East Lubbock Development Corporation. We need to review and revisit that effort, because the overall goal is quite conducive to developing the community as far as housing is concerned. However, it's been under scrutiny. And I believe that that scrutiny needs to be put on the table, because if we're not providing for the needs of the community, then we're doing a disservice to that community. And I expect that I'll be in some discussions about the overall efforts in order to bring about some opportunities for affordable housing.
We're visiting with Frank Gutierrez. I think for this election, voter turnout will be low in all areas. Voter turnout will be low for city council. Traditionally, at least if you go back the last few elections in District 1, turnout very low in District 1. Is it a turnout game, and how do you get people involved, and how do you get them engaged in the process in District 1? What do you do as a candidate?
I've been engaging folks all my life, and my track record of public service and volunteerism speaks for itself. I have a following of folks that have supported me simply because I do not give up. And I also take the time to be able to learn from them what's going on in the community. And I've dedicated much time to Community Development and Services Board, for example. And you've heard me talk about the school over in East Lubbock, Rise Academy. I'm very pleased and proud to be on that board, because it's a growing school. And it's providing a service that is being met, because we had some schools that closed in the distant past. And it affected the availability of neighborhood schools. So I'm involved with them, and it's a Blue Ribbon nominated school, and I'm very proud of that fact.
Visiting with Frank Gutierrez. When we come back, we will continue our discussion with Frank Gutierrez, candidate for District 1, Lubbock City Council. We'll be right back. Frank Gutierrez, candidate for District 1, Lubbock City Council, in studio. Frank, thank you for coming back in. Let's talk about crime in District 1. This has been an issue in the campaign for multiple districts out there who have been asked, or multiple campaigns that have been asked about what to do about crime in Lubbock. We've heard, what was it, last year maybe, where Lubbock was called one of the most dangerous cities in America. I don't know if I completely buy into that, but okay, if the crime stats are there, then the crime stats are there. In District 1, one of your opponents said that crime is one of the things that people come up and talk to him about as one of the top issues. Do you hear that from people that you go around and talk to? And how do you take on, or how should the city take on crime in District 1?
Well, of course, public safety is first and foremost on the minds of everyone in the community. And crime in District 1 is no different than any other part of town. However, because of the student population and because of the population there in the Arnett-Benson area and over towards North Lubbock, there is a propensity for criminal activity simply because of the makeup of folks that live there. Now, there is a matter of equitable administration of the law in all sectors of the community. And what folks don't understand is that you got to have respect for the law. And in that regard, I'm always pushing for and advertising and promoting the Citizens Police Academy. And here's why. You learn the other side of the law. You learn to have more respect for the law. At the same time, law enforcement has an opportunity to directly deal with the public and communicate with them as to what the functions of law enforcement are. Now, as far as the community is concerned and how can it affect the overall criminal activity, is just simply by people becoming aware of their environment. Neighborhood associations, and as I mentioned, the Citizens Police Academy, that's where folks learn about the true role of what an officer goes through on a daily basis. And it's not an easy job. And I think that I went through the Citizens Police Academy several years ago, and I enjoyed it immensely because it was a hands-on, direct involvement with the police officers. We received information and instruction on everything ranging from criminal investigations to drug activity. Got to meet the drug dogs. Went out on patrol with an officer on a Friday night. That was an experience simply because, you got a chance to ride in the front seat and not the back seat. So that was something that I learned from, and I want to promote simply because it's another way for folks to be able to learn about law enforcement.
The plan right now is, if everything goes smoothly, to move LPD into the current City Hall. City Hall is going to move to the Omni Building / Citizens Tower. Let's just say for right now that's the plan that we're going with. Or at least that's the plan right now. Should LPD move into City Hall, or should they stay in the current facility or build a new facility, and should there be substations?
I believe that the decision has already been made as to what's going to happen with City Hall. As far as the Omni building, that's underway as well, and it's been some investments made by the city. However, we're talking about a brand new council coming up, and there might be some changes in that regard. I would expect that there will be some discussions as to its feasibility. Is it worth it to spend that much money on a building that's many years old?
You're talking about the Omni building.
Omni building.
Okay.
And with regard to the substations, we already have them. We've got fire stations, and there's nothing wrong with police officers going there either for a break or to use a bathroom or what have you. But I firmly believe that if we've got officers out on the clock in their car, then they should be visible and patrolling. Substations, I see it as maybe down the road, several years into the future. But at present, I think we need to have our law enforcement officers out in the community patrolling.
So it sounds like you approve of the idea to move LPD into the current City Hall, correct?
Well, it's a done deal.
Is it?
Well, it seems to be. But at the same time, as I said and I mentioned, there's a new council coming up.
Because the current council would say, hey, it's a done deal that City Hall's moving into the Omni building. But there are other candidates who say, no, that's not a done deal, whether that can be stopped.
Well, we don't know because we still have to put it on discussion again. And as I mentioned and keep repeating, it's going to be an entirely new council, and there may be a different approach to the whole matter. However, we have to do what's best for the taxpayers of Lubbock, Texas. And I know that some folks are not completely happy with the whole idea of the Omni building, but we still have the responsibility of looking to do what is most cost effective.
Would you like to see, or would have liked to have seen, the idea of moving to the Omni building thrown to the citizens of Lubbock for the citizens to vote for?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, in a statement that just made to the local publication, that is my position, that it should be put up to the voters simply because it's their money we're talking about. And to go and to invest in a structure that is so old and then to make sure that it's safe, that is a concern that some in the community have. So in that regard, it should be left up to the voters.
We'll take the final break of this hour. When we come back, we will wrap up our conversation with Frank Gutierrez, candidate for District 1, Lubbock City Council. Chad Hasty Show, News Talk 790 KFYO. Frank Gutierrez in studio. He's a candidate for District 1, Lubbock City Council. Frank, on the show, I believe that you've mentioned in the past that you don't support putting taxpayer money towards downtown Lubbock unless it's for, some of the utilities and infrastructure needs in downtown Lubbock. There have been plans about a hotel that would be a public-private partnership, and you always hear that term, public-private partnership. Whenever you hear about revitalization, building new things, building big, expensive projects, where do you draw the line when it comes to taxpayer money being used for a private project?
I'd rather not. But as you mentioned, we have the responsibility, the City Council has the responsibility overall to offer the best infrastructure possible. Because we're talking about new construction. But at the same time, there's a fine line in between the public sector's involvement and the private sector's involvement. However, with relationships that have been established, it can work to the benefit of the community because it increases the tax revenues that are generated. Example, several years ago, the tech ghetto area was very blighted. Look at it now, and still growing. Millions of dollars in revenues, and that's the potential for downtown revitalization, so I wholeheartedly support it. But with the proviso that tax money not be used and only limited to the necessities and the basic infrastructure.
Would you support this hotel that's being talked about? And I believe it would be right next to the Civic Center, or maybe even connected to the Civic Center. In the past, the plans have called for the company coming in that they would spend about $66 million, but they would need $22 million from the city of Lubbock. Is that something you would support? Now, the City Council, I think at that time said, hey, we want you to rework these plans, come up with a figure that would be less. But would you support a plan that would call for anywhere from $15 to $20 million of taxpayer money going into a hotel?
I don't think I would support the taxpayer money part of it, but I will support the private sector doing what it can. It's happened before, and we need to encourage them. However, and we go back to the same question of before, providing the basic infrastructure so that they can accomplish their goal, that's where the support would come in. Spending public money on a private development matter would have to be taken up for consideration, but at the same time, it's questionable.
I've had at least, I think, one of your other opponents on the show. What separates you from the other folks in this race?
I've been in Lubbock all my life. I've dedicated much time in volunteerism, service to the community by way of being on the board of directors of Community Development and Services Board, as well as having been involved in East Lubbock with the creation and founding of a school over there called Rise Academy. I'm very proud of that fact because it demonstrates my ability to reach out to different sectors of the community. As I mentioned earlier, my opponents sought and interviewed for the support of organizations such as the Lubbock Apartment Owners Association, Lubbock Board of Realtors, and the West Texas Home Pact. I interviewed for those positions, for that support, and I received it. and I'm very proud to say that we're going to work together to be able to come up with some solutions to these problems that we face.
Frank, how can people get in touch with you if they have any questions?
Well, I'm on Facebook, and I'm not going to give up my private number, but but I'm on Facebook, and that's the best way to get a hold of me. We try to keep in touch and respond to any kind of inquiries, but I share the information, for example, that interview that we had yesterday on another channel. That's very reflective, and it shows the difference in campaigns and candidates, and also the voters' guide. The League of Women Voters has one. The Lubbock paper will be coming out with one this weekend. So folks need to examine those to make a decision.
All right. Frank Gutierrez, candidate for District 1, Lubbock City Council. Thanks for your time.